Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today I'm starting to get prepped already for my next tournament, or my first tournament of next season, which is going to be on Lake Okeechobee in southern Florida, one of my favorite places to go and fish. It's basically a big swamp. It's got a ton of emergent and submergent grasses. And I know that there's probably going to be a way to catch the fish in the thickest vegetation that there is. Some of those big hyacinth mats, some of the big mats that are just floating grass debris, a little bit of everything. And that's one of my favorite ways to fish. I love punching floating vegetation. The thing with that is, you need the right tackle. So one of the things that I know I need to do for next season to get prepped is I need to build myself a couple additional heavy flipping rods. Right now, I basically made it through last year with two rods, an FP936 and an FP937, both MHX blanks. The FP936 is kind of my main go-to. The 937 is one power heavier, so I'll use that more when I'm flipping like big 2-ounce weights. But generally speaking, if I'm pitching an ounce to an ounce and a half weight, I really like to use this rod right here, which is the FP936. The thing is, this is the only one that I have. And I know at Lake Okeechobee, the chances are good that I'm going to have 2 or 3 big weights tied on at any point. So I need to build myself a couple FP936s. So that's what I'm going to start doing today. I want to walk you through the process and kind of tell you a little bit why I love this MHX blank so much. And what it comes down to is, when you're flipping a big weight, there's a couple of main things that you need to recognize. The first is, if you set the hook too hard and too fast, you're going to blow that big weight through the fish's mouth and you're going to miss a lot of hook sets. So you want a rod that actually has a pretty soft tip. In this case, this has got a soft tip for a big flipping stick, which allows that bait not to quite explode through the fish's mouth as well. It allows you to get a hook point into the fish's lips, but then it's got this major backbone. I mean, you can see you come down a couple feet down the rod and it's a broomstick at that point. It just does not bend much. That allows me to pull these fish out of that heavy cover and get them into the boat. It's just a really important feature of flipping. A lot of people just think you want a broomstick. The stiffer the better, but the reality is, if it's too stiff, you miss a lot of fish on the hook set, and if it's not stiff enough, you can't get them out of the cover. So there's a sweet spot that you want to identify, and it's something that I know with this FP936. I am super comfortable with it, and it's one of my go-to rods for flipping heavy cover. The problem is, I only got one right now, so I need to build myself a couple of more. So before I get started on the build, I want to point out a couple of things as I've got my components out. I like to use the ECSM reel seat. And in this case, this is a 13.5. But if you slide the 13.5 down, you can get it to about the point where you have an 11-inch handle length, meaning if you want to go less than that, you're probably going to have to go to a size 14. Now, I'm right at that mark where I go with an 11-inch handle, which a lot of people still would consider short for a bigger flipping stick. The thing is, I don't like a long handle. One of the joys of building my own rods is I can choose the length that I like. Generally speaking, most of my rods are 10.5, and my bigger flipping sticks are about 11 inches, but that's it. I don't like to go bigger than that because it starts getting caught in my shirts, and it just is not comfortable to me. But that's totally up to you. I just want to point out that based on the dimensions that I'm providing, you may have to go with a size bigger reel seat. So it may be one of those things where you want to order both a size 13.5 and a 14, and you figure out what works best for you, because it is a really tight fit even at the 11-inch mark. So you just want to be aware of that. Also, Sarah just brought me down a beautiful grilled cheese. I want to point something out here. I mean, this is a phenomenal grilled cheese. She got an air fryer and she's making all kinds of stuff in the air fryer, including grilled cheeses that are fantastic. I will tell you this though, a grilled cheese and rod building is not a great mix. It makes everything super slick. I'm getting grease all over the place, but it's well worth it because a grilled cheese Well, rod building makes the rod building even that much more enjoyable. You just got to deal with getting all kinds of grease on everything, which is definitely not fun. All right, so let's get down to this. We are going to start by finding the spine of the rod blank. Real simple process with my CRB spine finder. I like to do this just because I think it limits the twist in the blank. It allows me to just get a little better action out of the rod, and it's a simple process that takes a couple of seconds, so I go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to use my other rod blank to measure out all of my spacing because I've built that one. It's just a lot faster for me to compare a finished rod to the one that I'm building because I know I'm building the exact same specs. So I'm just doing that real quick, marking out where I want my handle to be, where I want my reel seat to be, where I'm going to have all of my guides. Once I've finished that process, again, it's pretty simple. At this point, we're going to take our blue Winn grips and we're going to ream these out to fit specifically onto the butt because we've got our butt grip and I've got my handle seat or my handle grip. And at that point, I'll ream that out to make sure that it fits just using my CRB reamer set, which makes things super simple. And we'll get all of that ready to go. At which point, once we've got everything fitting, we just need to lock them in place by using our two-part paste. We're going to mix that together. You take an even amount of both. You mix them together, and at that point, you glue them into place. Make sure you wipe up the excess using a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. And then we're going to let that sit for a few hours to lock it in place before we go ahead and start working on the guides. As I'm threading the guides onto this rod, I want to mention that if you're building a good flipping rod, you probably want to steer away from micro guides. Micro guides are really good at increasing your casting distance, but they are a hindrance when flipping. They tend to catch the line when you're reeling your bait in quick and making fast pitches, and therefore, because the line gets wrapped around the guides, you probably want to steer away from them. Now that we've got all the guides threaded on, we just got to apply our two-part rod epoxy. This will seal in the guides, make them nice and sound, and then we'll wrap this up, throw it in the dryer, and the rod should be ready by tomorrow morning. Just took the MHX FP936 out of the drying rack. She is ready to go. I will put this bad boy to use down at Lake Okeechobee. I cannot wait to get down there to flip some heavy gear, to get out of the winter and just get down there. Lake Okeechobee is one of my favorite places to fish. It's got big ones, heavy cover, and you need a good strong rod like this one to pull them out of that thick stuff. And I can't wait to get down there. I'm really excited to start the year off. It's the first time in a while I've really been truly excited to start the season. And I don't know why that is, because I feel like the tournaments continue to get worse in terms of payout and expenses, but I'm ready to go for this season. And I think flipping is going to be a major player at almost every event. And maybe that's why I'm excited to get going. So I'm really excited to put this one to use. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will put all of the component parts that I used in the video description so that you guys can build the exact same rod that I do. If you like to flip and pitch heavier cover, I think you should check out this MHX FP936. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get back to work. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you have certain MHX rod blanks that you want me to build, put that in the comment section. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for a new one coming out tomorrow.